items at this meeting, and as we usually do in the March meeting, it's a 3-day meeting. There's a mix of legal issues along with on-ice issues, and there's no major issues that we were looking to solve here. We talked about, we did a little bit of a history lesson in the sense that we talked about what you guys happen to raise and beat up sometimes on a slow day. And so we talked about hand passes, we talked about kick pucks, and also in preparation for what you expect in the playoffs. People get a lot more passionate in the playoffs than during the season, and so we know we're going to have tough decisions. Today we touched on goaltender challenges. There's always a couple of those that raise the ire of not only the media but the fans and of course the coaches and the GMs, and it goes right up the ladder to the top of organizations. So we address that. There's going to be decisions made that people don't like and people do like. So it usually happens. So we covered a whole basket full of things. The one area that we haven't talked about is officiating. So,
we have another day though.
Yeah, we have another day. We talked about the CHL has there's some talk about what we're going to do with the 19-year-old in the CHL, and can we sign to the American Hockey League? That's still on the table, and so we dealt with that a lot at this meeting. What's good and for the 19-year-old, and should we have our teams have the ability to send that 19-year-old to the American League? Right now, if he's drafted, he can only go to the NHL. But we've talked about placing one or more in the American Hockey League if it's good for that player. So,
would there be? Are you talking about saying a certain number of guys, like each team can have 6 19-year-olds playing the A, or one? Or
yeah, we're talking about a number, and it's certainly not 6. So is it 1, 2, or 3? And is it just first rounders? Is it second, third, fourth rounders? So we're still beating that up. The CHL is coming tomorrow. We're not sure if we're going to address it with them. They're here at another meeting tomorrow. So, but we've been talking with the CHL for the last 6 months on that issue.
Is there any appetite about like almost a case-by-case basis? Because as everyone probably, like, some teams may have a whole bevy of 19-year-olds that may be
well, we've touched on everything. I'm sure there's some things we haven't touched on. But you're exactly right. And there's some teams, Brantford, for example, I think they have 4 first-rounders on the team right now. So it works both ways. St. Louis has 3 first-rounders coming up. So, and of course, we're very sensitive about the CHL. I think over 20 players were drafted in the first round for the CHL last year. It has been and it still is, and it probably will be our main grounds for development of young players. And so we don't want to hurt that league, and we're sensitive about that. So we've had probably 3 or 4 hours of conversation about that over the last 2 days.
Is the goal to
get that? I want to chime in on this. Sorry, just on the goalie coaches challenge. The Ottawa Anaheim last Saturday with Russo. I was surprised that was.
You asking me or you asking Elliot?
I mean, Elliot can answer too.
Okay.
Why was it not disallowed? There seemed to be contact with Russo, right?
Well, what happens is, I think I've said this 47,000 times before. On a coach's challenge, the referee makes a call on the ice, and we go from there. He gets a chance to review that call. If the team challenges it, they challenged it. Are you talking about the first one or the second one that was allowed? They didn't challenge.
The one where it's
skate touch. So they challenged it. Anaheim challenged it as being no goal. We looked at it. We felt the call on the ice wasn't dead wrong. Didn't affect the goaltender enough to turn it over. And we always ask a number of questions, and one question in that situation was, if it was disallowed on the ice and challenged, would we turn it over? No, we'd leave it alone. So it was that close.
Okay.
So And I know you've probably seen more than I have, but I doubt it. And we told them that we have 4 individuals that look at that, have been looking at that in our room. And we've done probably, what's the number, 1,700 since the inception of Coaches Challenges. And if you can find 4 other guys to take our place and do a better job, I welcome it at this point in time.
Colin, here's my question about that play. How is it decided if a goalie, like because the one that was overturned between Mantha and Shesterkin said he couldn't get across, and this one it was felt.
But you know,
was
you
so
sound like a video coach, and I get it. That's probably their only job. They got a number of comparables, just like you had a comparable.
Yeah.
And we have a number of comparables too. And it's the life that George Peros lives right now too. And you just had an earlier press conference with him. I did discipline for 11 years. There's a lot of similar situations with the discipline, but it's like a snowflake. There is a difference. They're not all exactly the same. And these things aren't all exactly the same. And we felt the goaltender could do his job. He wasn't affected. And 10 years ago, before the Coaches Challenge, I wouldn't be saying on that play, oh boy, we need a new rule, the Coaches Challenge rule. It is what it is. And so we're not always like 7-0 in our room. We could be 4-3. Unfortunately, I had the job of making the final call on that one. On those, and that one, it wasn't close. We were all unanimous that was a good goal, and he could do his job. And Pat Verbeek asked the right question. Well, he went into the crease. We don't say you can't go in the crease. This is not the Brett Hull era where you cannot, go into the crease. You can go in the crease. Can the goaltender do his job? We felt the goaltender could do his job in that case, and he wasn't affected. Sometimes he is affected from moving left to right. In this case, we didn't think he was affected enough to turn it over.
Understanding that the objective is always to get it right in the end. Is there any?
Usually, sometimes we flip a coin.
Is there any discussion about the timing of some of these challenges, particularly the offside?
Timing?
When they take a long time, is there any
Timing?
consideration into creating a limit on some of these challenges?
Timing of these challenges. Well, I have some time and patience for the video review coaches, the video coaches in the room, because particularly on offsides, because we have a number of cameras, but we're slaves to TV a lot, and we hope that they're finding other views with their cameras they use in the game. So, but as far as goaltender challenges, we have a number of cameras we think are acceptable. We can do it quick, and we're on it right away. That's our job. Look at every entry into zone and every goal we look at. We've had some coaches and some GMs say you should review everyone. Well, you see in overtime, which we do, we review every overtime goal, and we review every goal in the last minute. And now they never leave the bench until they see what we're reviewing. So if we're gonna do that for every goal, it's gonna be a long game.
No.
And the question is, when there's a review in place, even when we review it, they're not happy when they're on the wrong side of the decision. So we find that's true now too. It's called a challenge. When you lose a challenge, our guys are competitive. They don't like losing a challenge.
But when a offside challenge particularly is so marginal or fractional and it takes so long, is there consideration in putting a time limit on that challenge if it can't be determined within 2 to 3 minutes?
I was asked that question before by someone, and I remember years ago why we were taking so long. I said, well, we might take it like 6 minutes, but if we make the wrong, we get a late view on something and we make the wrong choice and we didn't thoroughly go through it, that's going to hang for 3 weeks. So I'd rather take 6 minutes and not listen to it for 3 weeks. So sometimes we do flush it out, and I understand it, but we'd rather come up with the right call.
Colin, is there any appetite to clarify or less gray in the hand pass rule?
Stephen, you jump
Yeah,
on that one.
sure. What we did was we did an exercise where we looked at our current interpretation and asked all the GMs to basically referee the plays and call it a hand pass or no hand pass. Just a simple exercise to make sure that our compass was straight in regard to our interpretation. We even put in a couple trick questions where we had missed them on the ice and to see if they would pick it up and call the hand pass on their own. And what we found is the overwhelming majority we were in line with how the GMs and how we had interpreted it all year. Sure, there was some conversation after the exercise was done on some things that they, that they might want to consider in the future, but overwhelmingly, they liked our interpretation, and we're not going to change anything now anyway. But it was a good sort of refresher to go through for hand pass prior to the playoffs.
Is there anything that you've talked in the last 2 days that can change for next season? Is there any movement that something could be tweaked? Or
We looked at Gary Mahar. I think you all know Gary Mahar. He's done some work for us as a consultant. I'm not so sure what his title really is. But,
Senior advisor.
Senior advisor.
but he did a lot of work on the history, which was good for our general managers. As you know, there's been a turnover. There's constantly turnover in coaching and GMs, and it was good just to show them what kind of work has been done over the years on hand passes and kick pucks and rule changes and why. And at some point in time, the kick puck is an interesting one. You know, we show them a number of examples, and we always do this. As you guys ask us tough, hard questions, they do too, and we let them vote. And so the kick puck is always an interesting one because it's ever since 04-05 when we tried to change the game and open it up, and we care about more offense, and coaches and love defense. What are you going to allow with a kick puck? We talk about injuries, we talk about all those things. So it was a good exercise to go through them both and see what their view is on it. And for the most part, I would have to say that they want to see more offense and loosen it up a bit. I'm not so sure how far we're going to loosen it up.
Okay, thank
Only
you.
the CHL, AHL rules that want to get put in for next year, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so the discussion and the language has to come.
Yeah, soon. And so Bill's got to go. Once we beat this up here, Bill will go back with the players' union and discuss it. That's where this originated from.
I think
their request.
the original part was it was just one 19-year-old per team. Is it now you're looking at potentially doing multiple?
I don't think anything was written in stone at the time. They just want the teams to have more options to do more things with their players, and not just junior or the NHL. If that player maybe had a couple of 140-point seasons, it's time for them to move on. You know, they want an option. They want more flexibility.
Is there anything else in your departments that will be explored that you guys can share in the next?
Well, I think when in terms of the history of the rules, the good work that Gary Mahar did on the history of the rules and a lot of the data that we looked at in the game on how many times, for instance, on a hand pass happens 17 times a game where a guy uses his hand in a hockey game. So Gary doesn't know it quite yet. Well, he kind of does. He's going to do that history on all the rules, so that which was good for us, so that any topic we explore, we'll have a whole history and background on it. Because a lot of times when you come up with an idea like kicking the puck, at one time you couldn't kick the puck anywhere really.
And the one thing that does become mandatory, I think, is next year the net guards.
Yeah.
For rookie players, and we broadcast showed a video again of close calls this year and some injuries. So just remind the managers that's there. We keep pursuing what's available for the players for protection: ankles, legs, wrists, and now the net guards.
Yeah, and the protective equipment too. They talked about it, and it was asked about the players at the Olympics. Did they have any issues with it? And the answer was no. There were no issues, so that's good going forward as well.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much for your help.
Thank you.